Okay, digestion is going to be this next mini lesson. For digestion, as Hippocrates says, you are what you eat. So, as when you consume something, how is it broken down and how is it absorbed and used for energy? So, that's what we'll get into now. All right. Okay, there we go. Okay, so the different digestion processes, right? So you've got mechanical digestion. Mechanical digestion means you're physically preparing your food either with your teeth or with your stomach plummeting the food, and I'll show you guys a picture of that in a moment. Chemical digestion, the big word here, guys, is enzymes. Enzymes are used to catalyze the reaction, to speed it up, and all you're doing is taking the polymer of macromolecules and making them into monomers, so that way it's easily absorbed, because who wants to absorb a big polymer, right? Yes, we eat all this protein, but amino acid, which is the building block, is what you're actually going to absorb. Absorption, now that it's at the smallest piece, because A and B, mechanical and chemical digestion, broke it down to the smallest piece. Now absorption is going to go into the bloodstream, and propulsion is just moving it along. So basically, mechanical digestion, using your teeth, so that happens in the mouth and it happens in the stomach. And a little bit with propulsion. So as food's moving along, it is kind of breaking the food up a little bit. But what it's doing here, what the idea is that you break the food down so that the enzyme can come in and easily break things down and catalyze the reaction. So it's not like a full burger, it's meshed into little pieces. So you've got your mouth, your tongue, and your teeth, which is mechanically digestion. And you also have that muscle peristalsis contractions that are occurring, and it's plummeting your food also. So that's mechanical. Chemical, just remember you have all these enzymes, amylase, protease, lipase. It actually tells you the site here. So amylase just mean the mouth and duodenum. They're all in the duodenum. Protease, which is for protein, stomach, and duodenum, and lipase in the duodenum only. And it's going to break down, amylase breaks down starch, protease breaks down the protein, lipase catalyzes fat. And it's going to break it down into smaller pieces. So maltose, glucose, amino acids, fatty acids, and glycerol. So basically, what's the big thing here is chemical digestion. You need an enzyme. And if you don't have an enzyme, it's not going to catalyze, and therefore you're not going to have the best type of reaction for you. Okay, absorption. So now that we've taken it, right, you made your maltose and glucose, it's going to take those little pieces, and it's going to absorb it into, and this would be happening in your small intestines, but it's going to absorb it into your bloodstream. And now you can take all those little pieces, and it's actually going to take the blood to your liver. Your liver will kind of clean it up and take it to where it needs to go. The liver has a lot of functions, and I didn't really talk about that as much as probably I should have, but just knowing that your liver is also at the end. So once all these things get in, any toxins, anything like that, your liver's going to clean it up before it sends it on its way. And this is just everything together. I had this in the notes before. You can kind of see propulsion through the whole entire thing. Okay, so now I kind of just like actually broke it down by pieces, just like I did in your notes. So in the mouth and esophagus, so in your mouth, remember you have mechanical and chemical digestion. Mechanical because of the mastication or chewing. And now that you broke that food down into mush, now chemical digestion can occur. And the enzyme amylase is going to take only carbohydrates. The only thing that's broken down in your mouth is going to be carbohydrates into glucose molecules. Just in this, basically you're going to have deglutition or swallowing. And pretty much what's happening here is just peristalsis. So it's just moving it from point A to point B. So it's taking that broken down food. All that's really been broken down at this time, yes, you've had mechanical digestion, but really the only thing that's been like catalyzed is carbohydrates. And it's being moved through this process of smooth muscle contraction all the way down into the stomach. Okay, so now something called cephalic reflux is going to occur. So this has actually been happening the whole time. So this actually even happened before you chewed. When you see food, already there's things going, there's hormonal reactions occurring in the stomach. So first thing is like aroma, taste. We all know like your stomach will growl if you smell something that you love, right? Like something that like you pass by a food place that you really like or something, your stomach will start to growl. And basically what's happening is the medulla oblongata is sending a nerve signal, action potential, through the vagus nerve down to your stomach, okay? And acetylcholine is coming in and initiating digestion. So this is an example of rest and digest. So this is parasympathetic, and that's why it's acetylcholine. So just so you know, depression or mood can inhibit this. So people like are emotional eaters, and some people can't eat at all. And just so you know, your mood can stop this from occurring. Like you will have like no want to eat, or you want to eat even more. Okay, so now that that has occurred, now it's the gastric phase. So now that the food, so now that the parasympathetic is like kicking in, gastric juices are going to be secreted. You kind of see it here. You have your gastric juices, and it's just making this environment really acidic due to hydrochloric acid. You guys remember we did a lab with hydrochloric acid, and you saw what it did to an egg white in a couple days. So the presence of food, so this is even without food. So once food gets here, so now food's here, right? So once the food gets in this region, that low acidic environment, and on top of like, there's like receptors in here that feel the food, it's going to release a hormone called gastrin. Okay, so the gastrin is now going to kickstart pepsin to be secreted, or protease. Protease and pepsin are the same thing, guys, or they have the same function. They both break down proteins. So pepsin and protease will be secreted now, and it's going to take the food, and basically it's going to catalyze just your protein. So protein is broken down in your stomach. So again, you've got the gastric juices, then you've got gastrin, and then you've got the enzyme pepsin. Okay, at the same time, you've got mechanical digestion occurring. It's all these different muscles are moving in different directions to plummet your food. Okay, so now the small intestines. So your duodenum, which is the first part of your small intestines, is very important. It's going to break down everything. So you're going to have pancreatic juices coming in, and you're going to have liver bile coming in with all the enzymes needed to break down the food. So I'm going to break this down and also show you. So chyme, so that basically now it's called chyme. And a lot of you guys saw this. A lot of you guys cut the stomach of the rabbit and saw what chyme looked like, which is really cool. But as it's going into the small intestines, again, those sensory receptors are going to, okay, food's here. It's going to now have two more hormones, secretin and cholecystokinin. And now it's going to trigger the pancreatic juices and bile. So pancreas and the liver are now going to be activated. And now you're going to have your amylase, pepsin and protease, lipase, and for your nucleic acid also. And at the same time, remember, it's really acidic. So the pancreatic juices, which has bicarbonate, will neutralize the acidic chyme at the same time. So you're having that also. So essentially, you've got enzymes, secretin and cholecystokinin, and then that's going to trigger all of your enzymes. So everything gets broken down. Anything that hasn't been broken down already will be catalyzed here. At the same time, it's becoming basic, so it doesn't burn your intestines. So this is what it looks like in the small intestines. So you can see, like, you have your pancreas. Some of you guys saw this. Some of it broke up a little bit. But you have your pancreas, and pancreas is responsible for amylase. So you can see it coming in. So imagine the starch coming down, right? And then it would take it and break it down into smaller pieces like glucose so it can be absorbed, okay? So you can see that starch glycogen, amylase will break it down into disaccharide, and it'll be broken down even further for glucose so it can, be placed in there, okay? These are actually other enzymes that will be secreted. I didn't go into these. There's even more. So enzymes later on, maltase, sucrose, lactase, that will specifically break these down. You don't have to know that. I'll just only talk about amylase, but for those of you guys ready to move on with more information, there you go. So actually, amylase breaks it down first, and later on you have more enzymes that will break it down from the disaccharide into the monosaccharide. Okay, and at the same time, you have your liver bile giving you all your enzymes. Same thing here. And then now that you're in the ileum, now absorption will occur. Okay, so let's talk about that. So now, I didn't have that. So now absorption, I showed you a picture of that earlier, but absorption is going to occur. All your monomers are going to be absorbed into the blood capillary, and it's going to go back to the liver to be cleaned up, and then it'll go to wherever it needs, wherever you need those small molecules. Okay, large intestines. Now pretty much you have your gut bacteria in there. Methane and hydrogen sulfide is produced that releases gases. You are producing vitamin K and some of your vitamin B there as well. And that's really where your fecal matter is produced. Just as a review at the end about macromolecules, you have carbohydrates, proteins, nucleic acids, and lipids. The carbohydrates monomer is monosaccharide. The polymer is di and polysaccharide. For proteins, the monomer is amino acid. And then your polymer is a protein, so that's kind of nice. Lipids, monomer are fatty acids. And then nucleic acid are nucleotides. So carbohydrates, really, it's a really quick source of energy. For proteins, it builds your body. Enzymes, muscle movement, hormones are also made out of proteins. Lipids are storage of energy. It's stored all over your body, also in the yellow marrow of inside the bone. And then the nucleic acid stores genetic information. And that's it. Okay, all right, so now time to practice.